Chapter 8. Witchcraft. Sounds Coven. I binge-watched American Horror Story Coven repeatedly on Netflix during moving into the House of the Rising Sun. Again, my first summer there in July 2017. Coven and Freak Show were my favorite two seasons, or they were. The apocalypse came along. Their themes of witchcraft, racism, disability, and acceptance have more comfortable voyeuristic escapism instead of the painful triggers of marital discord, addiction, and insanity in Roanoke, Murder House, Hotel, and Asylum. Cult is its own animal, being without the supernatural, veering from the politics of the time to batshit beyond anything I could ever conjure. We don't need a man to protect us, says Madison when the Coven goes to kill the Axeman of New Orleans. Coven was empowering feminist television. Powerful witches doing serious shit we can only dream. I was trying in my life not to be Jessica Lange's supreme witch diva. Fiona Good brought the Coven down through her search for continued youth and dominance. Fiona, Madison, and Misty were all blonde witches in Coven. It made me feel better about being a blonde witch back when I was blonde before I went gray. Not all blondes are Ivanka Trump. I cut my bangs in the sink for Nico hair, still do. Unlike Fiona, I didn't believe that I couldn't love anyone but myself. I loved Katie. I still do. In a lesser way, I've loved others in the past, many long gone. Was American Horror Story my Reno nightmare becoming like Coven, where the witches win everything? 10 minutes of watching the magical healing powers of Coven, I saw quite brutally how much worse things could be. I saw witchcraft rewarded, racism punished, voodoo queens victorious. It reassured me, as did the return in my own life of the ghost of Harry Butcher. February 2017's Delusion of the Month was back to ancestral ghosts. I heard, quote-unquote, my great-uncle Harry Butcher during morning yoga in my grandmother's basement, before I went to see the old Butcher place, where I was about to move for the first time. The name Butcher, obviously, was ominous, spooky. I refused to be terrified by moving into the old Butcher place, after what Roanoke put me through was seeing scary, ominous parallels everywhere. I am trying to live less in fear. Not everything is a meaningful sign I should identify with, especially on television. Some things are coincidences, bad luck. Nothing I do can change my great-aunt and uncle's last name being Butcher. They've both been dead for a very long time. I was told great-aunt Theda took an interest in me as a bright, intelligent child. Great-uncle Butch died before I was born, but somehow I was strangely not scared of the ghosts of the Butchers. They seemed to be welcoming me into my new home. The Butchers wanted me to be there. I was directly on the Thomas Orr-Butch's bloodline, Orr-Burris bloodline. Theda Burris was my Aunt Janet's sister. Butch, as they called him, was her husband. Call me Butch, his long-dead ghost says. He called me dear. What a sweetheart. Sarah Paulson, as Allie, asks her therapist, is it going to be okay in American Horror Story Cult? He says, it is. Allie asks him plaintively, is it? In Cult, it really, really isn't okay for most of the season. In the Cult finale, Sarah Paulson plays a lot of Winters like winning at everything, cathartic happy ending. Lee's ghost in American Horror Story Roanoke says, it's going to be okay. Butch's ghost in my grandma's basement at dawn said, it's going to be okay. I thanked him for his visit. I'd rather hallucinate friendly familial ghosts than the FBI hacking my iCloud. All they would find is that I have no trouble whatsoever, have too much time on my hands. PTSD is the stressful defensive bristling of all cruelty scarring me in the past. This had been an especially difficult 6 months at Grandma's, with the passing of the blood and snow moon, both in Libra, my sign, bracketing this miserable interval of living in Grandma's basement in transition to my new home. I wanted to emerge transformed. I was supposed to be healing there. Even after 3 months in the cocoon of my abuela's world, I still felt as torpid as ever. How and when would I heal? Is that even ever possible? I had a strong desire back then, to get into my house of the rising sun finally and just disappear inside. Lock the door behind me. Never come out again. Disappear forever. February 1st, 2017 was the Witches' Sabbath in Bullock. I'm a witch. In that, way people are in real life where we can't fly. I did a PTSD healing ritual, clutching my broom on the fold-out bed. February 10th was the full moon. Snow moon in Libra. Benign occult activity occurred. I googled snow moon spells. Read the Wikipedia article about the snow moon. Recited the protection, rebirth, and transformation incantations I found on Google. Threw in my lap. No candles, because I didn't want to set Grandma's basement on fire. Witchcraft is fun! Feels so magical after all. Feels so magical that it scares the bejesus out of me. I called it a night. Had paranoid hallucinations after the witchcraft that someone outside, like who, detected paranormal activity. Even though I was alone in a basement with a locked door, and who can detect paranormal activity? Don't I know? I binge-watched Coven to soothe myself with Witchcraft Triumphant. These long winter nights as I waited to move. Snow-shrouded Nevada as I packed. I moved into the House of the Rising Sun 2 days after Valentine's Day. Reno was my Valentine. I was Nevada's sweetheart. I gave my grandma a red heart-shaped box of chocolates as a Valentine's farewell. February 11th, 2017 was my last miserable night, blessedly alone in Grandma's basement. I only had 6 more hours of binge-watching Coven, on Netflix, on my MacBook Pro, with headphones in, alone, through the endless night. Every night has its dawn. As shall this. Then this shit is so blessedly over. This week finally begins the culmination of all of my fondest dreams. Everything changes forever this week. In 12 hours, my parents get here to move me into my new house. Given how toxic and hostile my most recent interactions with them were, I'm quite terrified of them visiting. Today begins what I've been looking forward to for 6 months. Instead of being filled with joy, I'm filled with dread. I was trying to stop shaming myself for not being happier, but what can you do? I was reminded of that time in Valley of the Dolls. For so long I waited for this moment, but now that I'm here, I don't feel anything at all. Morning of Valentine's Day, 2017. 2 days before I moved into the House of the Rising Sun. 4 a.m. I couldn't let anything further ruin my beautiful healing and deliverance this blessed morning. Even if my parents were awake, talking about their worries about me. That's what parents do. It had been silenced long enough to believe they were still asleep. One thing I have learned about my parents is they reflect whatever I cast upon them, whether positivity or negativity. I'm only a good low-key witch when I first get to Reno. Try to play it safe. Only do good, positive, benevolent magic. No black or menstrual blood magic, as I was to do later. Don't summarily Google spells to get people to be nice to me. No, I still haven't done that. Don't fuck with their Ouija boards. My bad. Don't call up spirits with seances. Yet. I allowed the ghosts to come to me when they liked. All my schizoaffective disorder dictated was that I sometimes hallucinated ghosts talking to me in my head. Back then, I didn't do binding spells. I do now. Back then, I didn't release spirits with the Ouija boards. Don't know how to do that. But I did make a turn to the black magic, I will admit. February 20th, 2017, I moved into the House of the Rising Sun. The night before, I rewatched the Coven promo YouTube video with Lord O'Connell cover of House of the Rising Sun. Loved it. Posted it on Facebook with my moving announcement. Advertising that an ominous occult practitioner is moving in was exactly what I was afraid of getting into trouble in my new home. I did it anyway. Witchcraft was good and healthy for me. In rehab, they taught us that spirituality will keep you sober. I was sober. What I thought was that I would take over my parents' house when my father died. I dreamed of having a witchcraft room. When I moved in to the house in Reno, I was in a panic about the witchcraft room at the end of the hall with its "please do not enter" sign, sparing me even considering a roommate for one of the several spare rooms I otherwise wouldn't be using in my new home. The spooky room was my defense mechanism. I kept everything family, children, workmen, casual visitors could have a problem with in there. And my altar, and my witchcraft supplies. To keep the people who must come into the house from taking issue or offense with me and my alternate religion, I had to step back from my fear. It wasn't like I murdered people in there, did drugs, kept tormented slaves in there, and this like Delphine Lellouis Chamber of Horrors in Coven. Even if the National Guard came in there, what the fuck? They would just be like, well, she's an amateur erotic role player. Interesting. That was in the occult, in a solitary way. Mostly about her dead lesbian partner, it seems. Unusual, but not illegal. It was a grief altar. It still is. It's an old Latin American Day of the Dead tradition to make altars for dead people. I'm from Los Angeles. At Hollywood Forever Cemetery, on Day of the Dead, people line up to pay to see them in the cemetery.